Hello, welcome to the round 23 preview as the Carlton Football Club are set to take on the Port Adelaide Power for the second time in season 2025. The last being not that long ago. It was less than 2 months ago, Thursday the 26th of June in round 16. The Blues were absolutely pulverised at the hands of the Port Adelaide Football Club. 8 goals, 12-60 to 16 goals, 14, 110. And now we face off in one of the deadest rubbers that you will see Saturday afternoon at Marvel Stadium. I was setting this preview up and I put my notes together, and when it got time to thinking about this game and the one that we had played in round 16, I couldn't remember much of it. I went back and watched the review. Like, it rarely happens. Usually my memory is pretty clear on certain moments that happen in the game. I went back to my notes of the game that I had taken because this was an away game. I stayed home and watched it, and I now remember, I remember just sitting there. We got smashed from the get-go. At no point from memory were we ever in this game. Port kicked a goal pretty early, or 10 or so minutes into the first quarter, and then that was all she wrote. So it's grim. It's been a grim season, goes without saying. But this week there was some freshness about the Carlton Football Club, because this week we started finally seeing signs of the handover to Graham Wright, the new CEO. So the fresh voice has now started talking, and we've started to cast our ears to what he's saying and our eyes to his body language and his facial expressions, and then also, casting judgment on what we want to hear as a supporter base. And, for some of us, there's no trust with the football club, so they're just empty words. For some of us, the words that are coming out of his mouth sound good. I think everyone can agree some of the words and some of the sentiments that he has given us sound good, but at the end of the day, it's going to be the actions. I don't think everyone, whether you're inside the four walls or outside the four walls, would agree. It's going to be the action which really tells the story moving forward. But nonetheless, it was refreshing of sorts to hear the fresh voice come out and start staking his claim. So we know that Michael Voss was backed last week, played against the Suns, got beaten convincingly until a spirited little comeback in the fourth quarter. And then this week we got news that Brad Lloyd would be departing the club at the end of season 2025, which will be 7 seasons. So that's a long time. So, agree or disagree with the decisions, that's another conversation. We won't do that here. We can do that in our live streams. But the decisions are being made, and the clarity that we are seeking is starting to come to us. We will find out who else is staying and who else is leaving from a department point of view and a playing list point of view. We've already had names thrown into the ring for the department. We've got Mackenzie from Hawthorn, Hinkley from Port Adelaide, who is going to be finishing up as a coach this year. Chris Davies, the footy manager, his name's been thrown in there. Jimmy Bartel. So, it's going to start a real exciting phase for us, even though it's disappointing that we're not playing finals footy. That's the real exciting phase that you want to be in. But now we've kind of got to go back. And one thing Graham Wright said, which, was stating the obvious, was just really clear. Like, we're so far off the top 8, like, let alone a premiership, but we're so far off the top 8. We've got 7 wins to our name, and we're not even close to top 8, let alone the top 4, let alone top spot. So that's just the reality. Port, I don't know. I've watched a bit of Port this year. I'm always going to have a little soft spot for Port, given my previous experience with them over the years. In particular, a guy who has led that club for a long time. That's Travis Boak. Now, at the time of filming this, I don't know for sure if he's going to play. I hope he plays, because I want to see him play one last time. He is, without a doubt, out of all the professional athletes I've met in the world, he is the most impressive. The way he carries himself, the way he conducts himself, the way he speaks to you, looks you in the eye, talks to you with respect. It doesn't matter who you are. If you're a part of the team, I was a little shit kicker, just like helping move the bags for them on their buses in China. Like, I was just a nobody. But like, you know, the next year he would come and he would remember my name. Little things like that stick out to me. And even the fact that he's played for as long as he has and got so much out of his body the way that he has, and also stayed loyal to his club, because he could have left. There was strong rumours that he was going to go to Geelong at one point, could have chased the success, so to speak. But yeah, it's an interesting conversation. We talk about it a lot on Footy Abroad. You know, are you defined by a premiership? Does that make you a champion? Or is it the body of work, the longevity? You know, I think Travis Boak's an absolute champion. I think the longevity and being able to play in a number of eras gives you that status, and also, I guess, the way you conduct yourself. So, you know, we'll see if Travis Boak plays. For the Blues, we got the injury update on Tuesday night. We were told that Chera would be out for the rest of the year. The knee soreness has crept up. I think we kind of expected that to happen when he and Charlie were ruled out a few weeks ago. Chera all of a sudden had the soreness. I mean, he had the shoulder strapped at one point. Now he's got the knee strapped. So he won't play again for season 2025, which, yeah, I mean, we'll get to his review later in the year, but he definitely got himself back on the park. There were a lot of frustrations with him last year around his hamstrings, and he missed 4 to 5, maybe 6 separate occasions he was coming out of the side because of the hamstring. So got on top of that, but this year just hasn't been a great one. It's been okay. Sam Walsh, that's the other interesting one. He seems to be available, and he seems to be a test to play. And that opens up the discussion. Do you risk him? Do you not? He's an important player for the future, maybe a future captain. I mean, he is a vice captain. That's a reality. We miss him dearly. We miss his running power dearly. At the moment, we're playing 5 small forwards and rotating them up the ground on the ball. We miss guys like Walsh, Elijah Hollins, Matty Cottrell, to name a couple. So does Walsh play? Does Walsh not play? I'd like him to play. I think you're just as at risk of getting injured in the preseason as what you are. You're going to get injured if you're going to get injured. I mean, Walsh in particular has been injured in the preseason. He's had the mishaps and whatever's happened. So do you manage his minutes on game day? Potentially. I'll let you discuss that in the comments below. Elijah Hollins, I did mention his name, and I'm glad to be talking about him again. Just the fact that he's reared his head back into the conversation. I was really uncomfortable, I must admit. I didn't know what's going on. And I know that there were personal issues, and we all know that there were personal issues. All of a sudden, he is back at full training. I saw him there on the open training on Tuesday. Hadn't seen him at a training session prior to that for a while. Played in the VFL last week. Looked the class above. Is he ready to play this week? Is he not? I don't know. It's a bit of a surprise to me, but I think the quality is undoubted with him, and the talent and the ability. It's just, life's tough and everyone goes through things. And when you're on the stage of the Carlton Football Club, things get magnified. You've got more eyeballs on you. So, everyone's got their struggles, everyone. And I just hope that he gets through, and I don't know what it means for his future moving forward, but I want to win games. Last 2 games of the year, I want to see as many wins as possible, and I think he can help us win games. Simple as that. So we'll see if he plays. Then there's Mitch McGovern, which is also an interesting topic of conversation. We spoke about it on Monday, and then there's been reports since via Code Sports that he may actually have this contract trigger clause ahead of him. There's a conversation around maybe he needs 1 more game to trigger that, or 2 more games to trigger that to get an automatic extension. So whether they play some of these guys or not remains to be seen. Ben Camporelli, he is now available for selection given he has served his 4-match suspension. The obvious thought around that is, well, he hasn't played for 4 weeks. So do you just want to throw him in for his debut game, or do you want to give him some time in the VFL, maybe play him next week? Because we do have a 5-day break coming up next week before we play the Bombers. So a bit to get through there. I'll ask you, you can unpack it in the comments below. What do you think we should do for team selection? Speaking of Code Sports, I wrote a piece. It's in the Herald Sun, in the sports section. It was basically a letter to the Carlton Football Club, and I just wrote it from the heart. So if you want to check that out, I'll put the link in the description below. You can read it for free if you have a free account with Code Sports. So let me know if you have any issues with that. And then finally, the Cheersquad, they will be doing their raffle. They've got a 2025 team signed Guernsey up for grabs. So I'll put the link to that in the description below as well. And we'll go from there. You know, we're going to miss this. We will. It's been a tough and trying year, and it's been it's been an exhausting process, particularly when you know the season's gone, it's slipped away, and then you find out really, really early in the year that the season is well and truly over. And so these games and these previews really they've been tricky. It's like, what the fuck am I going to talk about? But you do them. You do them because maybe one day they'll make sense. And, you know, we'll look back on these videos hopefully one day and hopefully one day be saying, you know, good on you for just hanging in there. I don't know. Will we? Like, is this part of it all? Like doing this when you commit to it, to covering a season, and then is this the part where you are supporting, you know, when it's tough? Is this real support? I don't know. I don't know. But anyway, I'll see you guys at Marvel on Saturday afternoon, 1:20 p.m. Chat to you in the comments, and we'll go from there. Go Blues.